Power is not something that is given to you. It is something you quietly take. Imagine those words spoken, not as a threat, but as a promise, a quiet, cold promise, that the room will bend toward you not because people fear you, but because they cannot help but lean in. Tonight I want to teach you how to build an aura so powerful it bends people to your will, Machiavelli's way, not by forcing them, not by breaking them, but by designing a presence that draws attention, commands obedience, and shapes outcomes. Listen closely, because this is the anatomy of influence, distilled into habits, gestures, and strategies you can begin using today. Start with presence. Presence is the hollow center of a powerful aura. Everything else is its skin and muscles. Presence is the ability to be fully in a moment, so that others feel it and respond. The first secret of presence is stillness. When you enter a room, move like you own the space without announced ownership. Slow steps, steady breathing, unhurried gestures. These small things broadcast confidence. People confuse motion for activity and franticness for competence. Do the opposite. Move with intent. Let your arrival be noticed, not for noise, but for a shift in the room's atmosphere. When you stand, ground your weight evenly. When you sit, claim the chair as if it were always yours. A steady voice, measured cadence, and purposeful pauses will make your words seem larger than they are. Silence becomes a tool, not absence, but magnification. Say less. Let each sentence land like a coin on a hard table. The more you allow silence to do work, the more your words will be taken seriously. Control your inner atmosphere. Calmness is magnetic. People unconsciously look for emotional temperature cues. If you are calm, others feel safe. If you are anxious, others become anxious. Learn techniques to regulate your autonomic state. Breath counting, a brief anchor phrase inside your head, or a micro-ritual before you enter important spaces. A slow inhale, a slow exhale, a subtle tightening and releasing of your shoulders. These are not tricks. They are preparation rituals that make you predictable in your composure and unpredictable in your outcomes. Machiavelli understood that rulers must appear steady even when storms rage. Train yourself to be the eye of a hurricane, a calm center that allows you to see and manipulate the swirl around you. Craft a reputation as if you were manufacturing a brand. Reputation is leverage. It compounds. People will give you latitude you don't earn in the moment when you carry the weight of consistent past actions. Reputation is not what you say about yourself. It's the echo other people repeat when your name leaves their lips. Be disciplined about the few things you do publicly. Make them exceptional, and let them define you. Choose a domain: decisiveness, discretion, generosity, ruthlessness in business, warmth in leadership, and make tiny, visible investments that reinforce that image. Reputation is built by repeated micro yeses and micro nos. Say yes to the opportunities that feed the story you want. Say no to the ones that dilute it. Remember, it's better to be known for a single, strong virtue than for a dozen vague ones. Master calibrated generosity. Powerful people are remembered for how they distribute favors, not for the number of favors, but for the scale and timing. Give strategically. Small gifts create warmth. Grand gestures create obligation. Learn to time your generosity, to create reciprocity without indebtedness that looks manipulative. A gift that appears spontaneous and personal will bind people more tightly than scripted largesse. Use generosity as a currency. Spend it where you want loyalty, and save it where you need distance. That kind of measured benevolence creates gratitude, and gratitude becomes a form of allegiance. Control the narrative. When you tell the story of a room, you win its interpretation. Stories shape reality more than facts do, because stories give events meaning. Be the first to speak when possible. First words frame later ones. Open with a short, vivid image rather than a long explanation. Use metaphors that are simple and repeatable. The human mind loves patterns. Repetition is another tool. A short phrase repeated in different contexts becomes a mental anchor. When people hear your phrase, they will begin to associate your authority with it. Machiavelli advised rulers to control how they were perceived. You can do the same by becoming the narrative lens through which others interpret events. Master nonverbal microsignals. People judge each other far more by tone, posture, and facial expression than by words. Train your face to reflect calm competence. A slight lift of the chin signals confidence. A micro-smile suggests control without neediness. A slow nod encourages alignment. Practice listening with your eyes and respond with your entire posture. When someone speaks, tilt slightly forward for important points, and sit back when you are assessing. Keep your hands visible and use gestures sparingly. Practiced restraint makes every movement communicate purpose. Microsignals are not manipulation if used ethically, they are simply the language of social competence. Leverage scarcity and constraints. Scarcity is an engine of desire. When opportunities or access to you feel limited, people value them more. Don't be perpetually available. Learn to be scarce in ways that signal value, not arrogance. A controlled unavailability, slow to respond to non-essential requests, selective about meetings, brief with follow-ups, signals that your time is precious. Pair scarcity with clarity. Don't create confusion, create respectful distance. When you are scarce, others will plan for you, think about you more often, and prepare when they get time with you. Scarcity makes ordinary moments feel like privileges. Use the economy of attention. Your aura is the sum of where you put your attention and how you make others feel seen. Look at people so they feel noticed, but never stare in a way that is invasive. Name what they do or the feeling they express. Humans crave recognition. If you can make someone feel important briefly and sincerely, you gain influence. But do not flatter. Instead, be precise. When you compliment, mention specifics. The particular argument they made, the decision they took, the courage they showed. Specificity sells sincerity. Vagueness smells of manipulation. Be a master storyteller of outcomes. Powerful people create visions that orient others. Paint outcomes in sensory detail. What will be seen, felt, and heard when success arrives. Stories of the future create momentum in the present. Anchor those visions in manageable steps, so the grand vision feels attainable. Tie short-term wins to the larger narrative. People follow when they see progress that confirms the story. Machiavelli taught that leaders must promise security and prosperity. You must promise progress and clarity. Polish your language into a tool of shaping. Words are instruments. Use declarative sentences rather than hedges. Replace I think with I've seen, or I believe with I know. This is not arrogance, it's precision. Avoid qualifiers that drain force. Words like maybe, probably, sort of weaken your statements. Use fewer, stronger verbs. Speak in metaphors when you want to make complex ideas feel simple. Structure your sentences so the most important idea lands last. The brain pays attention to recency. Rhetorical devices, triads, antithesis. Rhetorical questions are not ornaments. They are engines of memory. When you want to be remembered, repeat a short phrase 3 times in different images. Create rituals and symbols. Rituals convert ordinary acts into signposts of power. When you enter a meeting, make a small ritual. A single authoritative nod to the room. A brief page of notes. A specific placement of a notebook. Develop a signature gesture, a way you close an interaction, a way you deliver a verdict. Think of these as brand cues. Symbols work similarly. Wear an object that becomes associated with your authority. A watch with a quiet heft, a particular lapel pin, a ring, a color. Symbols home your reputation. They help others classify you in a world of noise. Practice selective vulnerability. People are drawn to strength that shows humanity. Strategic vulnerability disarms suspicion and builds trust. Share a short, well-chosen personal anecdote that reveals struggle but ends with resilience or a lesson. Do not overshare. A single story that humanizes you without undermining authority is enough. Let vulnerability be a bridge, not a foundation. Machiavelli recognized that a ruler must never be seen as weak. Vulnerability used correctly makes you human, but still formidable. Be consistent and unpredictable simultaneously. This sounds like a paradox, but the balance is crucial. Consistency in core values and habits builds reliability. Unpredictability in tactics prevents opponents from calculating you. Maintain predictable standards, punctuality, quality, clear rules, but vary the timing of rewards and the appearance of interventions. Predictable morality, unpredictable action. Predictable competence, unpredictable generosity. This combo keeps people comfortable, yet always guessing. Master framing and reframing. Often, power is simply the ability to change the question people are asking. If someone tries to trap you in a narrow debate, widen the frame. If they attack your specifics, move to principle. Reframing can turn a loss into a lesson, a failure into strategy, an insult into a demonstration of tolerance. Learn simple reframes. I see it as, or what matters is, or let us consider the broader question. Reframing is not deception. It is leadership guiding attention to what you can actually control. Command small arenas first. Before you try to bend a boardroom, own the smaller stages. Your team, your family, your immediate circles. Power that is cultivated in small places scales. Practice rituals. Rehearse speech. Test scarcity. Refine storytelling in small rooms. Consequences are manageable. Those victories create data points, stories others will repeat about how you led. The small stage is your laboratory. Use contrast to define your position. Humans perceive by comparison. If you want to seem decisive, place yourself next to indecision. If you want to be seen as calm, contrast your composure with panic in others. You do not need to artificially create chaos. Simply highlight differences that already exist. When you speak, frame options in a way that favors your choice. Show a poor alternative and then the superior, simpler one. People often choose the path of least cognitive resistance. Make your option the easiest to accept. Practice a ritual of exit. How you leave a situation is as important as how you enter it. Exits that are graceful and definitive create a sense of completion and control. When a meeting ends, summarize the single highest priority and give a short directive. End sentences with a firm cadence. This is the auditory version of a door closing. A strong exit creates memory and reduces lingering doubt. Cultivate high-status associations. People inherit status by proximity. Build relationships with those who already carry authority. But be careful. Association must be authentic and reciprocal. Sponsor other people's success visibly. When you elevate others, you appear magnanimous and powerful. Use introductions strategically. The people you align with become part of your aura. Listen to the logic of timing. Everything worth doing must be timed well. Patience is often the most underused tool of influence. Timing is not passive waiting. It is active preparation. When you delay, do so to enhance leverage, gather information, build alliances, and increase desirability. Act too early, and your impact diffuses. act too late, and someone else will claim the prize. Machiavelli advised rulers to wait for the opportune moment. Be patient, then act with decisive speed. Be ruthless with distractions. Power grows where attention concentrates. Protect your attention like capital. Limit meetings, design your calendar, and delegate tightly. When you must multitask, do so in ways that preserve your primary presence. Let others learn the cost of interrupting you. The default will become delay or redirection. Train people to respect your time through consistent enforcement. Create an environment that amplifies you. Power is often the sum of your setting. The rooms you inhabit, the background in which you appear on calls, the way your desk is arranged, all these elements send signals. Keep your spaces tidy and intentional. Surround yourself with a few objects of quiet luxury or meaningful mementos. The message should be clarity, taste, and focus. Your environment should do half the talking for you. Practice strategic ambiguity. Not every position needs immediate clarification. Ambiguity can be a protective cloak that allows flexibility. Use it when you want options preserved. If asked for a commitment you're not ready to make, say, "I'm exploring a few paths. I'll share once I've settled on the best one." This keeps you in motion and preserves leverage. But use ambiguity sparingly. Too much breeds distrust. Build a reputation for decisive endings. People fear indecision because it forces them to live in limbo. When you end an argument, do so clearly and fairly. State the decision, the reasoning in one sentence, and the next step. People will follow someone who ends the paralysis of choice. Machiavelli's leaders did not dither. They concluded and moved forward. Learn to close chapters so new ones can begin. Use power of symbolic enforcement. Sometimes authority must be affirmed with visible consequences, not cruelty. If rules are violated, apply predictable, fair sanctions, brief, proportionate, and public enough that the lesson spreads without humiliation. Consistent enforcement builds order and respect. The important part is fairness. People will accept discipline if it appears even-handed. Be conscious of moral gravity. Influence without integrity erodes itself. People may follow for a while when charmed, but respect rooted in ethics persists. Think long-term. How do your tactics align with the person you want to be? Machiavelli was pragmatic, but he also advised rulers to appear virtuous. Let your public behavior unify charisma with character. Power that serves a purpose beyond ego lasts longer. Train your voice. The human voice is one of the most powerful levers you possess. Work on projection, articulation, and pacing. Lower tones are perceived as more authoritative. Practice speaking from your chest rather than your throat. Enunciate consonants crisply. Let vowels carry warmth. Pause strategically. The silence between phrases creates gravity. Record yourself, listen back, and refine. A trained voice can turn ordinary sentences into proclamations. Cultivate strategic secrecy. Not every plan must be aired. Secretiveness, when used ethically, protects your options and heightens mystique. Share intentions only with trusted allies. A leader who knows more than others is a leader with options. But secrecy must be balanced with transparency enough to build trust. The art is in deciding when to speak and when to withhold. Turn failures into theater. When things go wrong, shape the narrative. A public failure can be reframed as a costly lesson that reveals character. Admit responsibility where appropriate. Outline corrective action and show the path forward. People respect leaders who own results and demonstrate recovery. If you can turn failure into a demonstration of competence, you will strengthen your aura rather than diminish it. Practice daily rehearsals. Presence is like muscle memory. Rehearse your entry, your opening lines, your closing phrases. Run mock conversations about difficult subjects. Role-play responses to likely challenges. The more you rehearse, the less cognitive load you have in real moments, and the more resources you can devote to subtle influence. Invest in mastery. Expertise breeds quiet authority. People follow those who visibly know more. Commit to continual learning in a field that amplifies your goals. Read widely, discuss boldly, and teach occasionally. When you can offer insights others can't, your aura attracts attention organically. Stay morally aware about influence. There is a slippery slope between persuasion and coercion. Use these tools to lead, improve systems, and create value, not to manipulate people into harm. True power builds, protects, and elevates. It is not hollow domination. Keep your compass aligned, because a reputation for ethical strength compounds beyond any short-term tactical advantage. Finally, become the kind of person others trust to lead. Power is not a costume you put on. It's a life you cultivate. Show up consistently, do the quiet work, and treat influence as responsibility. The most potent aura is the one that others choose to follow because they believe in your capacity to steward what matters to them. Now imagine applying one small thing from tonight. Tomorrow, before your first meeting, practice a 30-second grounding ritual. Enter the room with slower steps and a measured breath. Open with a short story that sets the frame. Finish with a single decisive line that clarifies action. Watch how people orient to you differently. Then scale, rehearse the voice, curate your symbols, polish your rituals, and build reputation over time. Machiavelli taught that fortune favors the prepared mind. He also taught that appearance matters. Combine disciplined action with intentional presentation. Cultivate calm, master timing, create scarcity, control narrative, and sustain ethical discipline. That combination will not coerce minds by force. It will bend the social currents so that people willingly align with your direction. Power, at its best, is a gravity that draws others into collaboration rather than into subjugation. Walk out of here tonight with a commitment to a small, concrete change. Begin to design your presence like an instrument, not merely to win arguments, but to shape outcomes with dignity. Use the strategies I shared responsibly. Build rituals, harden your calm, craft your reputation. Speak with precision and pause with purpose. In time you will notice the subtle shift. Rooms quiet when you enter. Ideas bend toward your framing, and decisions accelerate under your hand. That is not magic, it is practice. That is Machiavelli's way refined for today. A disciplined, ethical architecture of influence that makes power useful, enduring, and, above all, responsible. Remember, power is not an end, it is a means. Use it to create order, to uplift, and to get the hard things done when others cannot. If you can do that, your aura will not just bend wills, it will bend circumstances toward good ends. Go, practice, and let presence become your most persuasive argument.